Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. How are you doing today? Hope you are having a sunny day. Ready for some new drama from Ask a Lawyer? Let's go to the first one. Enjoy the stories, guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. A year and a half ago, I, 32 female, caught my fiance, Lee, 32 male, cheating on me with my younger sister, Kim, 30 female, when there was just 5 weeks left to my wedding. I accidentally walked in on them doing the deed, and I broke up with him on the spot, rather harshly. Kim and Lee didn't show remorse and told me that their affair had been going on for almost 7 months then. They told me that their souls had connected, so I asked them why our souls hadn't connected despite our relationship being a decade old. Turns out that I was money-minded and too career-focused. With great convincing and tears and tantrums, they had their wedding at the same place and the same theme that I had to have, and none of our relatives knew what had happened. I went no contact for a year with my family after this incident. 6 months ago, my parents and I reached out to each other, and I began talking to them, and they literally begged for forgiveness on my sister's behalf. I told them that it was okay and I forgave them. This brings us to 2 weeks ago. My parents had called me over for lunch and told me that Kim and Lee wouldn't be there. Yes, Lee and Kim stay with my parents. When I reached there, I was shocked to see an infant in Kim's arms. I stomp into their house angrily, but don't say anything. The lunch gets over. I'm seething, and it was extremely super awkward. God knows where my ex was during the lunch. Like newborn introverted baby giraffe awkward. The final straw was my mom telling me to hold my nephew. I told them really rudely that I didn't want to hold a baby that was indirectly born out of infidelity. My sister breaks down in angry tears and accuses me of hating her baby. I tell my parents that whatever they'd orchestrated was extremely cheap of them, and they told me that they were tired and lonely of not seeing their daughters together and having bad blood. I tell them that Kim decided to create bad blood when she decided to spread her legs. I also told them that it was either me or her, and rubbed salt into their wounds by saying that if they chose me, I'd be too money-minded and would never give them a grandbaby. I was met with silence. I thanked them sarcastically for the superb meal and told them to never ever expect to see or hear from me again. As I stormed out, I heard them crying and felt extremely horrible because my parents never had favorites when we were younger. They were supportive of me too, and Kim and I had a very nice bond. But I also don't want to deal with cheaters. My aunt and a cousin whom I'm super close to, they know about this because I ended up crying about my fate to cousin once, tells me to reconsider this and just make sure my boundaries are strongly enforced and nothing more. So, am I the a-hole? Each of us is different in what we can forgive, and nothing is wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with what you did. If it had been me, I wouldn't have even stayed for lunch. The baby was being used as a tool to bring you back into the fold, which is sad as well. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. The audacity of some people. Oh, she has a baby now, we should all act like it's good now. Yeah, no. You have a right to feel the way you do. It is all up to you if you want to forgive and forget. Not your cousin and not your auntie. You do you. Not the a-hole. You didn't break your family. Your sister and your ex did. Your parents made their bed by helping them to set that ambush. That's what it was. Take your distance. For them, it's easier to say forgive and forget. They aren't the person who got humiliated. You are the only one that doesn't stink in this pitiful situation. Backstory. My mother-in-law lived 4 hours from our city. Last year, she decided to sell her house and move near the family. She recently closed on another house here as her house was under contract. My wife stayed home, overseeing some work being done on the new house while also painting. Myself and our daughter, 6, went down to my mother-in-law's house to get her moved out. My mother-in-law is the type of lady that exalts males on a glorified pedestal. Over the years, she has made numerous inappropriate remarks about my body build or my appearance. She has even gone as far as asking very personal questions. Nonetheless, her mouth has gotten her in major trouble. With that said, when we arrived, she seemed to have been minding her manners at first. She made a comment to my daughter along the lines of when she gets older, she should marry a man just like her father. Later that night, we had an argument. My kid did not eat dinner because she had a stomachache. My mother-in-law demanded she help clean the kitchen and said I should be relaxing instead. My argument was, why should she have to help clean up from dinner when she didn't even eat? The next morning, my daughter slept in a bit, which irritated my mother-in-law. She made a comment that my wife is lazy, and that's where her granddaughter gets it from. It pissed me off, considering all the work my wife has been doing to her new house. An hour later, my daughter got out of bed. I was outside when my mother-in-law was putting socks on my kid and said, "Don't ever get fat like your mother." I didn't know about that comment until next day. As they were packing boxes, I overheard my mother-in-law telling my daughter that her mother tried to get rid of her. For the record, that is not true. It was my mother-in-law that was hounding my wife to terminate the pregnancy because she said my wife would blow up even bigger and that having kids ruins lives. All my daughter knew about termination was that it meant a mother does not want or cannot have the baby. My child was upset and hurt. My instinct was to get her away from that environment. We got lunch and I took her to the beach to distract her mind. We spoke it over. I promised her what her grandmother had said was not true. I called my wife. She and our child spoke for a while. It was while they were on the phone the comment about not getting fat like your mother was brought to my attention. We went back to the house. I gathered our belongings and we left. Outside sat several pieces of furniture and a few large boxes. My mother-in-law tried hiring movers after we left, but none were available. Overnight it rained, which ruined everything. My brother-in-law called me a piece of crap for letting her furniture get ruined. Also claimed it was elder aggression. A week later, I received a handwritten bill requesting $4,000 for the ruined furniture. My mother-in-law wrote how saddened she was to realize my wife had brainwashed and demasculinized me. The move occurred at the first of the year. Yesterday, I received an additional handwritten letter stating I will be sued if I do not pay for the damages. OP should let her sue him and waste her own time and resources. She has nothing supporting her claim. Low and no contact might be a good idea for a while. Sounds like Grandma has the potential to really damage the way OP's daughter thinks about her mom. So it's better not to have her around. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Orange Cubit says, "Not the a-hole, and I hope your entire family goes no contact with this cruel and toxic woman." 6500 Seth says, "Not the a-hole. That's wild. Your mother-in-law is a narcissist. Politely let her know you will deduct it from what she owes from your wife and daughters, past and future, therapy bills to deal with the trauma she created by being awful. Also, she probably has homeowner's insurance. Iffy if that is coverable." Express Afternoon 724 says, "Not the a-hole. Mother-in-law created a family crisis that needed to be resolved and posed an immediate threat to your child's mental health while you were trying to help her. You took the necessary protective action. The price of that to the mother-in-law? $4,000 apparently." My cousin, B, had a falling out with the entire family about 2 years ago over potential inheritance, and in my personal opinion, greed. B wanted money from relatives who were about to die and to put their stuff in her child's name. This offended a lot of family members because she only came to them when she wanted something. This was even more upsetting for me because of what she said to my beloved uncle. My uncle was a relative of mine, and before he died, B made it a point to ask him. She said it's not like he mattered because he never had children of his own to his face. She threw it in his face that he never had kids of his own. My uncle never had kids of his own, but he doted on me so much. Going through his things after he died, I realized he kept every drawing and letter I ever sent him since I was a little girl. At his funeral, his work family said that he kept my graduation photo in his locker and talked about me to everyone. I cried. Even at his funeral, she made a big stink about how she never got anything from him. She, my aunt, and a few cousins took it out on me at the funeral because I was the one he left a few things to. My uncle wasn't a wealthy man, and she frankly caused so much pain to us for a max of few $100s. I washed my hands of her that day and hadn't been in contact since my uncle died. A few months ago, I recently heard from my other cousin that B has been contacting family members for something and was given a heads up. I don't know how she managed to contact me since I blocked her on everything. She messaged me stating her adult daughter has cancer now and she needs a bone marrow transplant. She's not a match and has been asking for everyone to get tested. She hasn't gotten anyone in the extended family besides a handful of people to get tested. She said her daughter may die. I didn't reply or respond. I think it's unfortunate what has happened, but the only reason no one is willing to help is her behavior towards the family. She had a complete falling out with her own siblings after she called CPS and police on them because they refused to give in to B's demands. I still consider this none of my business anymore and never replied. Now I'm getting criticism from the new family members who still contact B. They say I'm taking my anger of B out on her daughter and I should at least get tested. I've been accused of even K-ing her daughter by refusing to help. Her daughter has never been kind to me growing up, and she is sadly just like her mother. Frankly, I don't care anymore, as I've run out of patience. I don't want to donate my bone marrow right now, and even more so to B's daughter. My patience and tolerance for them died when my uncle did. Am I the a-hole here? Edit. B's daughter was at the funeral. She actually had the nastiness to laugh at me after I discovered another relative ruined a few of the gifts and flowers I sent to the funeral home. I will never forget their smug faces, as the gifts I sent with love for a final farewell were trampled upon. B is in her 20s, and her mom is in her 50s. I don't think OP is in the wrong here. It's OP's choice to get tested and to donate. And what OP's cousin is saying is just manipulating tactics. It's funny how selfish people think that everyone should fall over themselves trying to help when they have a crisis. Also, I guess there's very little chance for OP to be a match. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Malangal Cicerasis says, "Not the a-hole. I was a bone marrow donor to a stranger. This was 10 years ago or so. So the technology has changed. But it's still a relatively invasive medical procedure, assuming you're a match at all, and since you're not that close of a relative, the chances are slim. At every point in the process, I was allowed to pull out of the donation, up to and including the day of the donation, which would mean the recipient would finally die. Why? Because it's my body and I decide what to do with it. That said, you should go to bonemarrow.org and register to be a bone marrow donor. Donating is one of the things I'm most proud of in my life. I've since connected with my recipient, and he is doing well and enjoying life with his wife and kids." Chubby Wench says, "Not the a-hole. Don't refuse to donate to B's daughter because of who her mother is. She can't control that. Don't donate because you don't want to. You can have whoever is conducting the testing say you aren't a match, if that's possible." K Good Mother-in-law says, "You have about the same chance of being a good match as stopping a random person on the street and asking them. The best chance for a full match is from a full sibling. There's a 25% chance of that. The next best option would be the patient's father, male child, or female never-been pregnant child, which would be a haploid identical transplant with a 50% match. After that would be the mother or previously pregnant daughter, also a haploid identical, but having giving birth throws a little bit of a monkey wrench into things. They may skip over those altogether. Then they'd go to the bone marrow registry for a non-related donor and try to get a 100% match. Note, some facilities prefer a non-related 100% match to a related 50% match, but that seems to be changing as haplotransplants have been showing extremely good results. You being a cousin once removed, that just throws too many other sources of DNA into the mix. Could you be a perfect or even acceptable match? Sure, but the chances are absolutely minuscule. The reason they look for so many donors on Be the Match is because the more people you have available, the higher likelihood that someone will match. Be the Match had 22 million as of 2021. Only be tested if you intend to donate to someone if called upon. I can almost guarantee it won't be your cousin's kid. Children in our country sometimes sell stuff for their schools to fund school trips, etc. I think many countries do that, so I don't need to explain more. Usually it's around big holidays, etc. We have a Christmas lottery, something many schools sell. My boyfriend and I have been together for 13 years, and we are happily child-free. We have good incomes and comfortable living. My boyfriend's sister and her husband also have good incomes and comfortable living. But I feel sometimes that she always tries to hint that we make more than we spend because we don't have children. No crap, Sherlock. And that maybe we should give more presents and stuff to her 2 sons. I don't agree. I put around 30 to 60 euros on a present, and whether it's good or bad, I don't care. I come from money. Well, my parents had good jobs, but we learned from young ages that it's never the value of the present, and I had the happiest upbringing. Anyway, the sons get a couple of dozen or more lotteries each to sell, and the idea is to go around the neighborhood, etc. But they're too lazy and they make the family buy everything. And since my boyfriend and I have nothing important to spend money on, we end up buying the majority of the tickets, around 200 to 300 euros worth each occasion. It pisses me off a bit in the beginning, but my boyfriend seemed uncomfortable saying no, and I hate making him uncomfortable, so I said oh well. This Christmas, I won about 150,000 euros. I was so happy because I never win stuff. When the nephews heard this, they wanted their ticket back. I was shocked and said, "Duck, no." They called me like 50 times, and my boyfriend's sister and her sons showed up next morning to talk, then argue, then fight me. Then she asked us to at least split it 50-50 with them, but I wouldn't budge. All three left in tears, saying they will take me to court. My boyfriend wants me to split it, or I'm being an a-hole. I usually donate 20% of my bonuses, inheritance, or any big chunk of money I get to charity. I thought I would do that and buy the boys the bicycles they were saving for. Cost around $2,500 each, I don't know why. But now I won't even buy them the bicycles. Am I the a-hole? Edit. My boyfriend is the one who pays for the tickets. He then splits the tickets. The winning ticket was one of mine. TR Iris Den says, "Not the a-hole. It's your money to do whatever you want with. Duck your boyfriend's family for being leeches, and duck your boyfriend for not standing up for you." Damaged Samo says, "Not the a-hole. If someone else, more specifically a stranger, had gotten that winning ticket and not you, they probably never would have asked them to split the money, because that would be rude. But since it's their uncle's girlfriend, then apparently all of that goes out the door. You bought the tickets. The transaction was finished, so they were 100% your tickets, and not theirs, so I don't see why you should have to share." Valis Gratia says, "Not the a-hole. Which court were they planning to take you to? The court of entitlement? Court of idiots? If you decide to donate some money to charity, do it in their names. Maybe buy bicycles for kids in shelters or something. Your boyfriend should learn some boundaries. If he's fine being a doormat, that's on him, but he shouldn't expect you to. If he really thinks you're an a-hole, then maybe he isn't the one for you." Update. I'm glad to see that there's nothing wrong with my common sense. I was starting to doubt myself. Many people here told me that I have a boyfriend problem. I never thought I had, to be honest. We're mostly happy, and our fights are always about stupid stuff. Anyway, I told him that we needed to talk. I told him that it hurt me that he stood there, and even if he didn't support his screaming sister and children in our own home, he showed little support to me, trying to defuse the situation by asking me to compromise. For me, some things are just right or wrong. There's no place for compromise. I felt that situation was. I explained it to him, and he agreed. I told him that I don't want to take the role of the rich aunt who spoils her relatives' children. This has been a thing. Like people, especially my boyfriend's sister, would easily tell her children, "Oh, go ask uncle for this instead of us. He doesn't have children, he can afford it," when it comes to more expensive things. Same thing with the tickets. We ended up buying 20 out of the 24 they were supposed to be selling. Now, I told him that we should stop. None of our relatives want for money, and nobody's entitled to ours. I don't want to buy tickets. I don't want to spoil others' children. I'm not the rich childless aunt. He said he agrees with me. About the taking me to court. It was just a bluff. She can't do anything about it. I knew it, but I asked my neighbor who's a judge, and she just laughed. I wasn't the one to tell about our winning. My boyfriend did. He is painfully naive when it comes to these things. He thought his nephew would be happy to have sold a winning ticket. I haven't told the children about the bikes. I just knew they were saving for expensive bikes and thought that I could get them instead. I won't be doing it. Let them save for their dream bikes.